Hi everyone. This video explains how to get started using Ironworks. It contains 4 chapters: overview, operation, steps, and tips. Use the video progress bar to skip to a chapter. Documentation about the topics mentioned in this video is available on the support website. Click on the Knowledge Base command in the Ironworks toolbar to access it. If you want our help building a master estimate, playing what-if games with your fleet's composition, or producing charge rates for a complex job or a special client, contact us using the consulting page. In this first chapter, we run through a quick overview of Ironworks. Ironworks enables you to accurately estimate how much it will cost, and how many resources, like mechanics and fuel, will be required every month to employ the machines in your equipment fleet for a specific period. Based on those estimates, Ironworks automatically calculates an average cost per hour of employment for the specified period for each machine. That figure is the charge rate used by your job cost estimating system for bidding jobs, and by your job cost accounting system for tracking job costs. Ironworks also automatically charts forecast fleet cost and resource requirements by the month for the specified period. This way, you have a plan, schedule, and budget for every machine in your fleet, and productivity metrics for your equipment maintenance staff, so you can run your fleet like a job. To help you specify cost factor values and assess charge rates, Ironworks de-identifies and deconstructs all estimates produced by all of its users, and stores the resulting data points in its cloud-based data warehouse. There, the data points are grouped by machine make, model, and year, and statistically characterized. Then, while you are estimating the cost of a machine's employment or assessing its charge rate, value guidance is automatically provided. For example, while estimating a machine's fuel cost, fuel consumption rate statistics are automatically displayed. To get started using Ironworks, it's best to build a master estimate that is loaded with all the details about the machines in your fleet. This way, all you need to do to produce a new estimate is save the master under a new name and edit the copy to suit new fleet employment cases. For example, you can quickly produce new charge rates for a big job, a special client, a new market, or a different period. Finally, note that all of your estimates are secure from unauthorized use. They are automatically protected with the password set and the unique token issued when your company subscribed to Ironworks. In this second chapter, we review how Ironworks operates. The format of all sheets follows Ironworks user interface standards. Settings and values that are closely associated are grouped to make them easy to find. Tips within sheets are in light blue and written in italics. They can be hidden using the tip button at the top of the sheet. Data field notes can be displayed by placing the cursor over any cell with a red corner. Values in blue are editable variables. Values in black are non-editable results. Values in brown are selected from lists of valid values, which are stored in either Ironworks editable library file or in system files that cannot be edited. Valid value lists in the library can be edited by right-mouse clicking the data field to open the Edit Library form. Or by clicking the Library command in the Ironworks toolbar. Either way, the new values are available throughout Ironworks. Ironworks has many tools in its toolbar that save you time and effort while estimating your fleet's employment cost and producing charge rates. Here are some of the key ones. Entire estimates can be saved under another name and then edited to reflect new fleet employment cases. Machine records and another estimate can be automatically reproduced in the active estimate. When they are, their estimated cost, resource requirements, and charge rates are automatically recalculated using the active estimates settings. All variable values associated with one machine record can be edited in a single form. Note that cost factor value guidance is automatically provided. One variable value can be edited for many machines simultaneously. For example, the daily rent cost, for all machines in the equipment list sheet of the same model, and located in the same state, can be edited at the same time. Overhead costs in another estimate can be automatically imported to the active estimate. Overhead, in whole or in part, can be automatically spread to all eligible machine records. Charge rates, for groups of similar machines, can be automatically produced and exported to your job cost estimating and job cost accounting systems. Here's how the sheets that make up Ironworks work together. The blue-tabbed sheets store the variables that drive machine employment cost calculations, which you specify with help from Ironworks' cloud-based data warehouse. The gold-tabbed sheet contains the machine employment cost calculator. It processes the values specified in the blue-tabbed sheets and reports cost, resource requirement, and charge rate results for every machine in your fleet to the black-tabbed sheets. The black-tabbed sheets store those calculation results for your review and assessment. The white-tabbed sheet automatically compares your charge rates with statistical measures of make-model year matched charge rates that are downloaded from Ironworks' cloud-based global data points warehouse. To operate Ironworks, simply input pertinent variables about the machines in your fleet in the blue-tabbed sheets, in sequence, from left to right. Then assess the results in the black-tabbed sheets until you are satisfied with the results and how the charge rates compare with those reported in the white-tabbed sheet. Finally, export the charge rates to your job cost estimating and accounting systems. Moving between the blue-tabbed sheets to input specific variable values is easy. Just click on the Sheet Navigator command in the Go to Command group in the Ironworks toolbar and specify where you want to go next. Note that when you need to move between sheets frequently while editing an estimate, you can leave the navigator open while you work, and position it anywhere on the screen for quick access. In this third chapter, we walk through each step involved in the process of building a master estimate. Step 1. To build an estimate from scratch, you need a folder filled with blank sheets. To produce one, click on the Open command in the Ironworks toolbar and select the blank Master 01 estimate that was installed with Ironworks. Because it's a system file, no password is required. Once the file is open, save it under a new name. For example, 2024 Master. Step 2. In the Estimate Setup sheet, Estimate Identification block, input your name, and then notes about the nature of the estimate. Using the Specify Rate Period command in Ironworks toolbar, pick a start date from the calendar. Click on the year and month title to display Pick One menus, and click on the date to pick a day. Then pick the 1-year rate period duration option. Pick the country in which your fleet works, so the correct holiday list is activated. Confirm that all holiday settings are yes, for now. Skip the shift arrangement settings for now. Edit the scheduled cost factor values to reflect your company's forecast monthly unit costs for the listed resources. Note that you can input formulas to escalate unit costs from month to month. Input values for all 36 months, regardless of the specified rate period duration. This way, Ironworks can automatically calculate fleet costs if in the future you elect to change the rate period setup. Skip the default PM routine employment interval settings, for now. Edit the rent cost calculation settings as needed to reflect how your company is charged for renting equipment by the week and by the month. Confirm that all editable CBS component cost applicability settings are yes, applicable. Then, save the estimate. Step 3. In the equipment list sheet, fill out the 9 machine properties that are required, the rest can be skipped for now. Note that the titles of the required properties are in bold. The 9 are: equipment number, make, model, year, country, state or province, cost recovery method, lifetime employment at rate period start date, and engine fuel type. For now, pick the charge rate option as the cost recovery method. And specify a quantity of 1 for lifetime employment at rate period start date. If any of the Pick 1 menus are missing a value you need, just right mouse click on the cell to edit Ironworks library of valid values. If your fleet has more than one machine of the same make and model, set up the first machine record, and then copy it to quickly produce all the others. To do so, right mouse click the equipment number cell of the first machine record and use the pop-up menu, or use the Copy Selected Records button embedded in the sheet. Step 4. In the custody planned sheet, fill out the 3 required custody properties: custody type, start date and end date. For custody type, pick one of the 3 options to specify whether the subject machine is rented, leased, or owned. For custody start date, for rented and leased equipment, specify the date of the first day of the rent or lease period, and, for owned equipment, the date of purchase. Any date after 1900 can be specified. For custody end date, specify for rented and leased equipment the date of the last day of the rent or lease period, and for owned equipment, the date planned for disposal or sale of the subject machine. Again, any date after 1900 can be specified. Note that a machine's custody period need not lie within the rate period. That's because Ironworks automatically determines if a machine's custody period overlaps the rate period. It then calculates the machine's employment cost for only the overlapping months. That means you can plan to add machines to your fleet in the future without affecting fleet costs during the active estimates rate period. In the Forecast Employment section of the sheet, assess the available work hours and specify a forecast employment quantity for the rate period for each machine record. For now, use option 2, spread lump sum evenly. It requires only one value to be input for the entire rate period. Ironworks automatically spreads that value evenly to all months. Later, when you want to improve the accuracy of the timing of costs and resource requirements, you can input employment hours by the month using option 1. Note that Ironworks automatically highlights the months in the rate period the machine is in custody to make it easy to specify employment quantities. Also note that utilization is automatically calculated for your close consideration. Step 5. In the Employment Cost Factors sheet, input cost factor values that reflect each machine's employment case for the rate period. For now, skip the overhead section, its use is addressed in later steps. In the custody section, skip those cost factors that do not reflect your custody plan for the subject machine, or your company's business practices. For example, if you don't plan to pay directly for certain fees because the subject machine is rented, or don't plan to overhaul a machine, skip those cost factors. Likewise, in the operations section, skip those cost factors that do not pertain to the subject machine's employment case, or your company's maintenance practices. For example, if you don't plan to perform preventive maintenance, skip all 5 p.m. routines. Note that cost factor value guidance is automatically provided from Ironworks Global Datapoints Warehouse for 25 cost factors. Click on any of the 10 values to transfer it to the sheet. If you prefer to input cost factors one machine at a time, while viewing value guidance, use the Edit command. Step 6. In the overhead cost estimate sheet, input the equipment overhead expenses that are to be recovered with charge rates. Skip this step if in your company equipment-related overhead expenses are recovered as part of the markup on direct job costs when bidding jobs. Note that the cost of all non-pay designated machines is automatically reported here. No manual data input will be required if, when you refine your master estimate, you assign the cost of some machines to overhead. Step 7. If, in your company, equipment overhead is recovered by burdening charge rates, navigate to the Employment Cost Factors Sheets Overhead section, and spread overhead to those machines whose employment is charged to jobs. This can be done manually as you see fit by specifying the percentage of overhead you want to allocate to each machine. Or, it can be done using the Auto-Allocate command in the Ironworks toolbar. It automatically spreads overhead evenly to all eligible machines in proportion to their contribution to direct cost. To get a snapshot of then current totals while spreading overhead, use the Overhead Allocation Status command. Be sure to eliminate variances. Underallocated amounts become dead losses at the end of every accounting period that reduce your company's operating profit. Overallocated amounts increase your charge rates and thereby reduce bid success. Step 8. Step 8 marks the end of input of values that model the fleet's employment, and the beginning of assessment of the calculated results. All calculated results are contained in the black-tabbed sheets. They report in both tabular and graphic format the fleet's forecast cost, forecast resource requirements, and individual machine charge rates for the rate period. The order and depth of estimate assessment is up to you. Typically, the order of assessment follows the order of the sheets, from left to right. Option 1. Review the charge rate guidance sheet. The chart it contains compares the last calculated charge rates to those downloaded weekly from Ironworks cloud-based Global Datapoints Warehouse. Click on the slicer buttons to change the chart. If you want to display more than one statistical measure, use the Control key while clicking on your selections. To refresh the chart with then current values in the warehouse, click on the Get Current Guidance command in the Ironworks toolbar. To assess an individual machine's charge rate, open the Fleet Employment Cost Summary sheet and click on any cell of interest in the Charge Rate Breakdown section to display a charge rate guidance chart. Option 2. In the MECE calculations sheet, examine the forecast cost and charge rate calculation details for each machine record of interest. It's often best to start by opening the cost schedule visualization and using the next and previous buttons to page through each machine employment cost estimate of interest and quickly assess it. For example, note that the cost of this machine record 6 is 0 because its forecast employment for the rate period is 0. To drill down into calculations, use the Control key with the up or down arrow keys to navigate the cost breakdown structure. Then, use the plus and minus sign buttons on the left side of the sheet to view rows of information. To adjust a cost factor, simply right-mouse click it to jump to its location in the Employment Cost Factors sheet. To return to the calculation details, simply click on the MECE Calculations Sheet tab. Option 3. In the Fleet Employment Cost Summary sheet, examine the resulting forecast cost and charge rate values for the rate period that are automatically tabulated for each machine. It's often best to start by filtering the machine records using the Machine Record and Custody Plan properties to view groups of interest. If you want to adjust the reported cost or charge rate for any machine record, right-mouse click on a cell to jump to the corresponding value in the Employment Cost Factors sheet. To return, simply click on the Employment Cost Summary sheet tab. Option 4. In the Fleet Employment Cost Schedule Sheets Resource section, assess the monthly resource requirement quantities for the fleet. Here again, it's often best to start by filtering the machine records to view machine groups of interest. Large variances in forecast mechanic hours and fuel consumption between similar machines often indicate cost factor value issues. Option 5. Use the next and previous commands in the Ironworks toolbar to view the charts available in the visualization sheets. To view certain machine groups and periods of interest, click the Data/Chart command button and click on the data table slicers to filter the machine records and the months in the rate period. Step 8. When you are satisfied with your estimate, the last step is to load your job cost estimating system and your job cost accounting system with the resulting charge rates. To do so, use the Export Charge Rates command in the Ironworks toolbar. It automatically produces an Excel file of charge rates for every machine in the active estimate that your systems can import. If your company uses average charge rates for groups of similar machines, use the Report Specifications form to automatically produce them. In this fourth and last chapter of this video, we review some tips on how to refine your master estimate. Tip 1. In the Estimate Setup sheet, edit the Holidays and Shift Arrangements settings. The more accurate the estimate's calendar, the more accurate the estimate's cost calculations and resource requirement schedules. Tip 2. In the Estimate Setup sheet, edit the CBS component cost applicability settings to reflect exactly how your company handles rented, leased, and owned equipment. For example, if in your company, preventive maintenance is performed and paid for by the rental house, change the preventive maintenance setting in the rent column to No, Not Applicable. Note that whenever you edit these settings, Ironworks automatically recalculates each machine record's cost of employment and its resource requirements for the rate period when you move to another sheet. Tip 3. In the Equipment List sheet, fill out all the machine properties that you skipped. The more machine properties you specify, the more ways you can filter and group machine records to assess and edit your estimates. Tip 4. In the equipment list, set up multiple machine records for those machines that could be employed under different employment cases at some time in the future. This way you can adjust the subject machine record's employment cost factors to reflect a range of employment cases. For example, rented, leased, and owned custody costs can be set up for the same machine for comparison purposes. Tip 5. In the Equipment List Sheet's Mechanical Properties section, input a value for each machine's actual lifetime employment quantity at rate period start date. This way, PM routines and overhauls can be automatically scheduled based on the machine's lifetime employment instead of employment in the rate period. Tip 6. In the Equipment List Sheet's Administration section, specify which machine's cost is not recovered with a charge rate, because it is instead recovered as part of markup when bidding jobs. To do so, simply pick the non-pay cost recovery method option. Note that a non-pay machine record designation does not affect the machine's estimated cost or resource requirements. It simply changes how that cost is recovered. Non-pay designated machine's cost is recovered as overhead and is not charged directly to jobs. Tip 7. In the Custody Plan sheet, use Option 1 to specify forecast monthly employment quantities. Option 1 greatly improves the accuracy of estimated cost and timing of resource requirements, overhauls, and preventive maintenance routines. To do so, pick the Specify Monthly Quantity option and then input monthly forecast employment quantities in the highlighted cells. Note that forecast employment quantities that exceed the available work hours in the rate period, based on the calendar and shift arrangements in the active estimate, are automatically flagged. Tip 8. In the Employment Cost Factors sheet, fill out skipped data that could pertain to the subject machine under different employment cases. This way, your master estimate can be used to quickly produce new estimates. For example, if you specify values for rent, lease, and depreciation cost factors for a machine record, at any time, you can change the subject machine record's custody type from rent to lease to own, and decide which set of cost, resource requirement, and charge rate results you prefer in the active estimate. Tip 9. After copying your master estimate to produce a new estimate for a new fleet employment case, use the multi-edit command to quickly change cost factor values in the new estimate, many machine records at once. To do so, first specify how you want to filter the machine records. Then, specify which variable value you want to edit. Ironworks automatically navigates you to the sheet and column containing that variable. Finally, specify the value you want to apply to all machine records that match the filter. More tips and detailed explanations are available on the support website. Click the Knowledge Base button in the Support command group in the Ironworks toolbar to examine all the documents and videos of interest. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.